Hey everybody, welcome back to another How I Mix This. This is Alex Dixon of Studio 722 coming at you with another video. Okay, this month's song is Deeper by a band called The Hated Messiah. Um, anyway, let's get started. To start with, I got everything organized as I usually do. There weren't that many tracks to work with, so it made my job actually quite easy. Anyway, the first thing I did was on all the main tracks, I added the Blue Cats gain plugin, and I linked them all together. I grouped them all together and pulled everything down by 6 dB so I could have more resolution to work with on my faders. After that, I pretty much did all my level balancing, my static mix, if you will, panning and level balancing between the faders, and then pretty much flipped over to mono and did my mixing from there. Anyway, this is what the song sounds like. As you can tell, it's a pretty rockin' tune. Anyway, first thing I did, after I did my static mix and got everything balanced the way I wanted it to, I pretty much took the vocal and chopped it up a little bit to kind of do, I guess you could call it manual compression by doing clip gain. But anyway, let's go to the individual tracks. The first thing I did was, after I got all my tracks grouped and everything, drums, bass, guitars, and vocals, I went over to the drums, balanced those out a little bit with EQ, and did a little bit of compression and transient shaping. Now, I bet you're wondering why there's a bunch of high-end boost. I have a 10 dB boost and then plus another 2.1 dB boosting that up even higher. That's because without it, it was lacking high end so bad. Anyway, here's what the before and after of the EQ is. So cool. Anyway, that's the EQ. I'm also doing a little bit of transient shaping to give the drums a little bit more attack. And I'm also doing a little bit of compression. To kind of even everything out a little bit. A little bit of 30 millisecond attack so it lets the transients through, and about 100 millisecond release, and a 2-to-1 ratio. So, yeah. And then after that, I moved on to the bass. And pulled out a lot of the high ends that was pretty much unnecessary or not even there. And I boosted a little bit of the lows around 65 hertz, 67 hertz. And I pulled out a little bit of 100 to kind of pull away that resonance. And left the rest of it alone after the low pass filter I also did a little bit of transient shaping to get a little bit of the pick of the bass guitar to come through. And I also did a little bit of compression. Okay, well, that's a lot of compression. 2 to 1, 10 milliseconds. Anyway, what I did with the bass guitar is I used the saturation knob pretty aggressively. Like here's this one. That's before. That's after the saturation knob. Before. After. And then the mix. Okay. Then after that, I went on to the vocals. And EQ'd them quite a bit. Pulled out a little bit of the lows and low mids. Added a little bit of mids and a little bit of highs. I also compressed it pretty heavily. Yeah, I'm getting about 8 dBs of gain reduction there on that one. I actually did 3 stages of compression on the vocals. Because I couldn't quite get them to even out. In Allo 2, I also did a little bit of de-essing. And I used the TDR, the Tokyo Dawn Records compressor, and compressed it quite heavily. As you can see, getting about 3 to 4 dBs of gain reduction, and then I compressed it again with a different compressor, an 1176 style compressor by Steinberg that came with Cubase. And as you can see, I'm getting another 3 dBs of gain reduction. And then after that, I went to the individual tracks of the vocals and pulled out a little bit of the high end on the individual tracks. So pretty much I'm pulling out a lot of the high end and then adding it back in with Ozone. Or Alloy 2, my bad. And then after that, I worked on the guitars a little bit. And as you can see, I didn't really do any EQ on the guitar bus. And I actually don't think I did anything on the bus. I pretty much just did some EQ to kind of separate the guitars and with their panning. Like on this one. On this one, I pulled out some high end. And on the other one, I pulled out some low end and added some high end. So the two main guitars together sound like this. Kind of gives it a little two-ear interest. And I also have a little bit of a reverb going opposite channels. So the left guitar, the reverb's going to the right, and the right guitar, the reverb's going to the left. So you get kind of the stereo widening effect. You know. Anyway, that's the guitars by themselves. Now in the mix. As you can see, there wasn't really a whole heck of a lot I did. Because there wasn't much to work with in the first place. But like I said before, I did some cutting. I cut up the main vocal a little bit so I can do clip gain and adjust the volume of each individual section. And then I also did a little bit of reverb Oops. I also did a little bit of reverb with some automation on the lanes. Like I got this part. So cold. I did a big cathedral reverb on that part, and then I and then the last half of the song I got the reverb coming in at about halfway to zero. And I also did a little delay on that one part, so it's like so cold. A little bit of a subtle delay in the background. Um, and uh, that's pretty much all I did with the vocals and the drum tracks and everything. So pretty much that's all there is to it. There wasn't a whole heck of a lot to do. Did a little bit of EQ and compression on the drums. Well, actually, a lot of EQ. So, you know, that's pretty much the mix. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.